All right, so you've been grinding away, leveling up your React skills, and now you've got a shot at a senior dev role.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thanks. But those senior interviews, they're a whole different beast, right?
Yeah, for sure. They want to see it can handle the tricky stuff, make those tough calls that impact the whole project.
It's like I can bake a cake from a box, but can I whip up a recipe from scratch?
Exactly. Got to know the why behind the what. So let's dive into some common senior React interview questions. Go beyond just the answers. Really get that deep understanding.
Let's say they hit you with, explain how React updates the DOM when state or props change.
Yeah, classic one. A junior dev might jump into virtual DOM basics, but
You got to show them your senior level.
right. So I'd say something like React uses a reconciliation algorithm to figure out what needs updating in the DOM. It compares the new virtual DOM tree to the old one, finds the differences, and then only changes those parts in the real DOM.
Okay, so you're showing you get the big picture.
Yep. And then you can dig into the comparison process itself.
How would you explain that?
This is where keys come in. They help React know which elements are changed or stayed the same so it can skip unnecessary updates.
Ah, so it's all about making things efficient.
Exactly. And you can even mention that elements with different keys will trigger a whole subtree rebuild.
So you're highlighting React's focus on performance, right?
Nailed it. But to really show off your expertise.
Take it a step further.
Yeah, like mentioned should component update. It gives developers super granular control over updates and prevents unnecessary re-renders.
Oh, I see. So you're showing that, ways to fine-tune the process.
Yep, and you could even bring up react.memo for memwising components and preventing re-renders if the props haven't changed.
Now we're getting to the optimization weeds.
That's where those senior level discussions go.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. How do you manage state in complex React apps?
State management, the eternal question.
I'd probably jump into Redux. It's pretty popular, right?
Definitely a go-to. But a senior dev wouldn't just mention it.
Got to go deeper.
Exactly. Explain the core principles, single store, actions, reducers, and how it makes state management predictable.
And I'd want to show that there are trade-offs.
Yeah.
Like Redux adds complexity.
Totally. A senior dev knows there's no magic bullet.
Right. So you might talk about alternatives to Redux, like context API, or hooks like useState.
Exactly. Show you can weigh the options and pick the right tool for the job.
It's about being adaptable, not a one-trick pony.
For sure. Adaptability is gold in the fast-paced world of front-end development.
Well said. I'm feeling a bit more prepared already.
Glad to hear it. But we've got more ground to cover.
Bring it on.
All right, welcome back. So in part one, we hit those basic React interview questions.
Yeah, kind of like a warm-up.
Exactly. Now let's crank things up. Get into those scenarios that really show off your problem-solving skills. Think architect level.
Sounds intense. What kind of questions are we talking about?
Imagine they throw this at you. We're building an app for real-time updates, like a chat or a collaborative document. How would you approach that in React?
Whoa, okay, that's definitely a step up.
Right. It's about showing you can handle complex stuff.
Well, I know real-time updates usually mean using WebSockets or something similar to talk to the server.
Perfect. That shows you get the tech behind it. Then you could talk about structuring your components to handle those messages coming in and going out.
So maybe a dedicated component for the WebSocket connection and others would listen for updates.
Exactly. You're thinking like an architect now. And of course, got to think about state management.
Right. Would you go with Redux for something like this? Or maybe Context API?
That's the million-dollar question. This is where you prove you can make those tough choices.
Yeah, like weighing the pros and cons. Redux is structured, but maybe too heavy for a simple real-time app.
Right. And Context API is lighter, but might not scale if things get super complex.
It's all about finding the right balance. Oh, and speaking of balance, what about performance with all those updates flying around?
Excellent point. Real-time stuff can hit performance hard.
Yeah, got to keep things smooth for the user.
Absolutely. So you'd talk about techniques like memoization, maybe using should component update to stop those unnecessary re-renders.
Oh, and what about virtualizing the list of messages or updates?
Bingo. That way you're not rendering a zillion DOM elements.
This is turning into a full-blown design discussion.
Exactly. That's what those senior interviews are all about. They want to see you think through it all, consider the options, and come up with a solid plan.
No pressure, right?
Well, a little pressure is good. Keeps us sharp.
Okay, so let's say they follow up with, we're worried about security, especially with sensitive data. How would you keep this React app safe?
Doom. Security always got to be on top of it.
Yeah, no room for mistakes there.
You'd start by talking about the usual suspects, cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery.
XSS and CSRF, the dynamic duo.
Exactly, and how to prevent them in a React app.
So sanitizing user input, no dangerously set in their HTML.
Yep, using those security headers like a pro.
Oh, and what about content security policy?
Another great one. Limiting what the browser can load really helps against those XSS attacks.
So many layers of defense.
Right. And of course, you can't forget about authentication and authorization. Got to protect that user data, whether it's moving or just sitting there.
It sounds like security is baked into every part of the design, not just an afterthought.
100%. Security is non-negotiable.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about those questions about your experience? Like, tell me about a time you mentored a junior dev on a React project.
Ah, the mentorship question. Time to show off those leadership skills.
Yeah, I talk about the situation, the challenges the junior dev was facing.
Be specific, though. Don't just say, helped with state management. What was the exact problem? How did you guide them? What happened in the end?
Right, got to paint a picture. And I'd highlight those soft skills too. Patience, clear communication, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Being a mentor isn't just about tech. It's about building people up.
And it's not a one-way street. I always learn something from mentoring too.
Shows you're open to learning, which is huge for any senior dev.
Always be learning, that's my motto.
Love it. Okay, one last question for this round. What parts of React are you most excited about right now?
Time to geek out a bit.
Right. Let that passion shine through.
I'd probably mention server components, or maybe deep diving into performance optimization. Oh, and those new data fetching APIs have me curious.
All great choices. Just be genuine. Don't try to guess what they want to hear.
Authenticity is key.
Always. And if you've got any cool side projects or contributions to the React community, now's the time to mention them.
Shows you're going above and beyond, right?
Exactly. So we've thrown a lot of tough questions at you today, but hopefully it's given you a good sense of what to expect and how to shine in those senior React interviews.
It's been intense, but I feel way more prepared now.
That's what we like to hear. Remember, confidence, prep, and that love for React, those are your secret weapons.
All right, we're back for the final round of our senior React interview prep. We've covered some seriously tough questions, from deep dives into React's inner workings to those tricky architectural challenges.
We even talked about how to show off those leadership skills when they ask about mentoring. But before you walk into that interview, there are a few more things that can really give you an edge.
Lay it on me. I'm ready for any last-minute tips.
One of the biggest things is being ready to talk about your past projects. They'll almost always ask you to walk them through something you're really proud of.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not just about listing the tech you used, right?
Exactly. It's about showing how you tackled problems, how you made decisions, especially when those decisions involved trade-offs. They want to see you think like a senior dev.
So I'd walk them through the challenges, the choices I made, and the lessons I learned along the way. And if I've contributed to any open source projects or anything in the React community, I'd definitely mention that too.
Perfect. Shows you're not just using the tools, you're giving back and pushing the whole ecosystem forward. Now, another thing, even though you're going for a senior role, those coding skills still matter.
Oh yeah, for sure. Can't escape the code.
Exactly. Brush up on those algorithms and data structures and make sure you're solid on React best practices. There are tons of online resources and coding challenges to help you get ready.
Sites like LeetCode, HackerRank, those are good ones. I'd spend some time on those just to sharpen those coding instincts.
Definitely. And here's something that people sometimes forget. Communication is key, even in a technical interview.
Yeah, I got to be able to explain those complex concepts in a way that anyone can understand.
Exactly. Practice explaining things clearly. Maybe even do a few mock interviews with a friend or colleague to get feedback.
Mock interviews are a lifesaver. They help me iron out those wrinkles in my explanations.
For sure. And don't forget, soft skills matter just as much as technical chops. Show them you can work in a team, that you're a good communicator and a problem solver.
Being a team player is huge, especially at the senior level.
Now, here's my final piece of advice, and it's the simplest one. Be yourself. Authenticity goes a long way.
I love that. Don't try to be someone you're not. Let your personality and your passion for React shine through.
Exactly. Enthusiasm is contagious. They'll see that you're excited about the work, eager to learn, and that's the kind of developer any team would want.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, to recap our senior React interview survival guide. Be ready to talk about your projects, practice your coding skills, and make sure you can communicate those complex ideas clearly. Oh, and be yourself. Let that passion for React shine through.
Well said. Remember, the journey of a React developer is all about learning and growing. Embrace those challenges, stay curious, and keep exploring the amazing world of front-end development. Who knows what incredible things we'll be building next?
And to all our awesome viewers out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Pragmatic Reviews for more insightful tech deep dives, and leave us your comments. We love hearing from you. Until next time, happy coding.